Welcome to part 2 of the video blog. Today we're going to be doing how to do this cutout in the door panel. The first thing we're going to need to do is we need to create a series of jigs so that our paneling can be repeated onto the next door with it being almost no work whatsoever. Also at the same time, if a shop is doing this or something like that, they can actually make these jigs themselves and then continue to do this particular project over and over and over, simply. The first things that we need to talk about will be safety and stuff like that. I do tend to tell you over and over and over how much I cannot stress about wearing safety glasses. That's probably one of the most important things you can do. All right. First things first, what we're going to need to do is we need to show you the tools that we're going to use for the trade on this one, or tools of my trade. I'm going to do this on a very simplistic system. I'm not going to go for all the complicated routering methods and stuff on this particular build. I want to show more of a simple way anybody that can do this. The basic tools I'm going to be using will be my jigsaw. I've got simply a utility knife here. I've got some paint, some acro saws, some drill bits, a couple of different rulers with, round circle guides and stuff. So these are going to be the basic tools. Alrighty. The first thing that we're going to need to do on this is to have a way of transferring this line. If you look on the original pattern here, you will see that I've already transferred lines out to how we're going to design this. Now here you can notice there's this black line here. This is an old method of way you can get curves that you cannot see. When I place a panel onto this here, I can't see the curve line across this area, and so I need to somehow transfer that. So the easiest way of doing it is very old school. It's simply a painting method. The first thing you're going to need to do is you need to take your blank sheet and you're going to place it. Now I've already put a series of lines on this piece of wood, on this plastic panel with a couple of marks. And so what I want to do first is I want to line it up and go ahead and mark the 2 points here. So these will be my reference lines. Now I can go ahead and transfer on the back side here this curve if I want to. That's relatively easy to do. So first thing, take your paint and you do what you almost don't want to do. You paint it. You want to put a heavy coat of paint on the surface so that it's high liquid. Now what you're going to do next is you're going to take the panel, you're going to line it up with your 2 reference lines and your bottom line. You lay it down, and you grab a hold of it and press for a second and hold. After that's done, you'll have this really nice black transfer line, which now can be a reference for what you're doing. So as you can see, I went ahead and did that. I laid out my line. And I'll also set it up so that I'm 3/8 of an inch difference from these lines. This will be how thick the panel will be on the top surface. You won't see this when I'm all done. This is actually the bonding surface to this plastic. Because over the years I've discovered that plastic and wood don't go together very well. You want to be able to bond them as best as you possibly can. But the best way of doing this is not to do a direct parting line between the 2 pieces. So like if you have a piece of wood to directly butt it up to the plastic. What we're going to do is we're going to create a lip that'll go around the plastic piece, and that will be bonded directly in here. It'll lift the panel up just slightly, but we'll blend it in so it looks like like the factory did this. One other thing really quick. In this, I used no routering to cut this out. I did this very old school. This is all jigsawed out, and then of course a lot of sanding and stuff to make sure that the lines and the curves here and stuff come out clean. Routering is a great tool for doing a lot of things. But the problem is it's not always the quickest method, and so jigsawing, is one of those objects that you can use at your arsenal and be relatively quick at the job that you're doing. In this part of the episode, I intend to show you how we need to make a master plate. This is going to be our master plate down here at the bottom. A couple of basic tools that we're going to need for this is going to be a small router, and a larger standard router. Now these are about the only two routers that I'm going to use throughout the episode. I intend to make this as simple as I can. So I'm going to do most of the work actually utilizing this smaller router. This is just simply, for doing laminate work or something like that. These are really useful for most installers or most home doers. They can get this relatively cheap over at Home Depot or at Lowe's. We're going to need some tape, and we're going to need some Acrosol. And some of these products here can be bought through Select Products. The guys over at Select are wonderful at being able to give you toys and tools that you need to do routering. Another tool comes from a buddy of mine, Brian Schmidt, over at Mobile Solutions. And this is an old tool. I've had this one here. This has probably been around service now for about 10 years. This was originally created by a friend of mine, Mark Fukuda, and this is without a doubt probably one of the most indispensable toys and protective shields that you could ever use when doing any kind of routering, especially when doing something heavy or semi-dangerous, I should say. So this is one of your just indispensable tools. We'll use this on the tabletop router, and I'll show you that later.